Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys in Africa. You know we love the Big C tribe. We love you in Canada, but Big C, there's no one we love more than you good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, we're trying to do our interpretation of the winter weather. We're down in the 40s here this evening and stuff, Charlton, so it's getting a little nippy outside, even though we're not in the teens as they are in South Korea, but it's bone chilly right now.
Yeah, they say it's cold over there, and out here in California, man, it's like a heat wave. It's in the mid-70s for most of the Golden State, and a lot of times people love seasons, and we don't get seasons in California. But we do love the fact that we can be outside in the wintertime with our tank top down. And I see so many people driving around with their tank top down in wintertime, Big C. And they're getting sunburned in the wintertime. Big C, that make any sense to you?
The only burn I want to do is put a crisping on some barbecue, when it's out there in the wintertime.
Yeah.
That's putting the sunshine on it from some heat shelter. But, as far as walking around with my belly hanging out, I try not to do that too much in the wintertime.
Well, we understand that today is a beautiful February the 9th, 2018, in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And we love bringing it to you in Black History Month. Beautiful day in California. All across the country, people are experiencing different things. We're still coming off of that cloud of the NBA trades, and Cleveland seems like they got rid of everybody that they didn't want to hang around the organization anymore and get old and start collecting dust, Big C. So they brought in some new talent, the same way you throw out the old milk and you bring in new milk, Big C. You don't want to drink the spoiled milk. But hopefully some of those guys, they'll still find that they have a life elsewhere in the world of basketball. They're just never going to be young again. And unfortunately, if you're guys like Dwayne Wade, and I mean, he's been a great player in the past, but he can see the writing on the wall. And sometimes you just got to move over and let the young bucks come in and start playing. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, to have an opportunity like Dwayne Wade received, to be able to go back to your basic home of your career, go back to Miami and finish up there, Charlton. He can retire now on his terms there with the Heat, which was a great gesture by Pat Riley and that organization to bring him back.
Yeah.
Because he's meant so much over the history of that organization. They're not on the upswing right now, so what better way to have his career end and bring him back in? And if they get any luck and make that 8th seed in the playoffs, Charlton, it'll be because of him.
Yeah.
But, at least he'll be able to go out as you want a veteran player that has earned the respect that Dwayne Wade has in his NBA career.
Yeah, and when you think about that, Big C, over the annals of the basketball universe, can you think about a player where they let him come back to where he had his greatness? And I know a lot of times people trade and they go around and they don't end up where they started. Michael Jordan, considered the best basketball player in the history of the universe by the young generation. I think still a lot of people would say Wilt Chamberlain, Big C, if you just look at the numbers. But Michael Jordan, he didn't finish his playing days in Chicago where he made a name for himself. Wade being able to go back to Miami where he won his championship. Even Kareem didn't start out in L.A., but he finished in L.A. You look at the great Magic Johnson, went start to finish in L.A. There's a lot of players that have moved around, and they didn't always get the chance to go back to where they started. Big C, that make any sense?
Charlton, you're not always able to go back home. A lot of these players will sign a one-day contract at the end of their career to retire with that team. Paul Pierce just did it this year, signed a one-day contract with the Celtics to retire as a Celtic, even though he spent his last year as a Clipper.
Yeah.
But, Dwayne Wade, still has 28 games left in the season that he can be an integral part of this Heat organization, Charlton, and contribute, not just putting some ink on paper, but putting the ball in the basket and getting some assists.
Yeah.
And he's going to be energized going back to Miami, because he's going to be happy. There's no stress on him.
Yep.
He's not the guy that's looking to uplift the franchise. He's not a guy to be the integral piece of another franchise to hopefully get it to the pinnacle where they want to be.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's happy to come home. There's no weight on his shoulders, Charlton. There's no pressure on his heart. he could just go out there and have fun just like a young kid again.
Yeah, that's true. And when I think about that, and I look at Zach Randolph here, came to Sacramento, and ironically, he's been a great player and a fixture, even though he's a little bit up in age now, but he's still a contributor. Not only is he a contributor on the court, he's a contributor with his mind, Big C. I look over at Golden State, and something that we talked about yesterday, man, is it so prevalent today. And we brought up the fact that guys don't always end where they start. There's talk about what may happen in LA because there's going to be a lot of movement coming up in 2018-19 year. And there are people saying that maybe Klay Thompson is playing out his last year with the Golden State Warriors and that he'll be part of that trade. I mean, everyone's talking. But think about it. If Thompson, which at one time hit 37 points in one period, and is just a dominant three-point shooter, Big C, but there's even talk that he won't finish in Golden State, but he's been part of that run. And so that thing with Wade going back and whether who's going to go where, Wade doesn't have any ownership in Miami. And I know that sometimes when you don't have much, you're not used to asking for a lot, but wouldn't it be a shame that someone who brought 2 championships to Miami and someone who made that franchise, they have nothing to offer him other than, hey, thanks for playing. We're going to pray for you and your family. And I think more people are starting to wake up, Big C. After all these years, you have nothing, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's the way it is. Until you get the players together, and they say, hey, we want to pool our resources and not just be individuals.
Yeah.
Because they're actually more powerful than what people think that they are when you look at the amount of money that they pay these players.
Yeah.
That they can actually hold a league for ransom if they want, and a team, Charlton. When you say you look at the starting 5 on any NBA roster, Charlton.
Yeah.
That's a lot of financial wealth and a lot of power. It's just a matter of how you want to handle it. You're only going to have one team win a championship every year.
Yeah.
And that's regardless of the sport you're looking at.
Well,
you're always looking for a competitive edge.
Yep.
But the bottom line, these players have to look at it from the mental perspective.
Yeah.
Where am I going to be taken care of? We've seen players with these injuries. I mean, you think about Isaiah Thomas. A year ago, he was in the MVP conversation, Charles.
Yeah, he was.
And when you think about how he played in the playoffs, he put the Celtics on his back.
Yep.
Even with the injury that he had, as well as losing his sister.
Yeah.
When she lost her life, Charlton, in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But he went out there as a professional. But he was not rewarded as a professional in the end.
They threw him under the bus.
Through all the heartbreaking pain that he suffered through.
Yeah.
The Celtics did not care about him personally. They cared about the organization, what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so they cast him off, and he was injured.
Yeah.
And being injured, you don't have that same solidity in that next organization as you had in the one that you came from.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the time for you to get better. Because what you did was with that past organization, Charlton.
Yep.
So they have no commitment to you. There's no loyalty. And you see where he was just shipped off. Here it is, Charlton. He's with his 3rd team.
Yeah.
In less than a year. In less than a year, Isaiah Thomas was with his 3rd team, and in the last 5 years, this is his 5th team that he's been with in the NBA.
Wow.
And I take that and I throw that at Boogie Cousins, Charlton.
Yeah.
The former Sacramento Kings center who went to New Orleans and tore his Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
Where's the loyalty in New Orleans? Yes, you gave us some good times while you were here this year.
Yeah.
But you're injured. We're not going to sign you to a long-term deal.
Yeah.
We might give you a 1-year deal, and if you have any resemblance of yourself, maybe we will keep you.
Yeah.
Cousins reminds me a lot of Arvydas Sabonis, Charlton. And Arvydas Sabonis was the 2nd-best center in the world back in the 80s.
Yeah.
He was in the Eastern European bloc, but he tore his Achilles tendon. And he was a guy that, when you looked at him, he was a 7'2", weighed about 270 pounds, ran like a deer, had a great outside shot. He was a bigger version of Boogie Cousins.
Yeah.
But when he tore his Achilles tendon, he became a pedestrian middleman, Charlton. He no longer had the ups that he once had, which limited his game. And so Portland was never able to get over the hump against the Lakers.
Yep.
And he couldn't challenge Kareem for supremacy in the West.
Well,
but, this is what you look at when these players get injured, Charlton. What do they have?
You bring up a very salient point, Big C, and sometimes people call it alchemy, or they call it where something just intuition or deja vu. And for every athlete, black and white, but particularly the black ones, we know a lot of the white athletes, whether it's a Roger Staubach, they've gotten into business and it opened up a lot of doors for them. This was back in the day. Now guys like Magic Johnson and LeBron James, they have the same opportunities because they've made so much of a name and they're a great marketing tool for not only them, but the league, the organization they play for, Big C. But I want to bring you something because what you just said, DeMarcus Cousins could have been in Sacramento for a long time, had a bad attitude, they didn't like him, but he also couldn't trust the ownership, okay? But he left with nothing. Steph Curry, I would say the prodigal son of the NBA right now. He's the face of the NBA. We could say maybe it's LeBron James. We could say Durant. We could say whoever we want to say, but he's in the top 3, okay? If something happened to him like what just happened to Blake Griffin, who's playing at home tonight, Detroit's hosting the LA Clippers, Steph Curry owns nothing. He has a shoe contract. He has love and he's adored. His family's adored in the Bay Area right now. But he's no different than Boogie Cousins. We know he's been through injuries before, and there was talks that they even keep him, but he got better and got healthy, etc. But if Curry goes down, there's nothing to keep Steph Curry from being the next DeMarcus Cousins. Thank you. We're going to pray for your family, but you got no ownership here. But thank you. Big C, make any sense?
Well, Charlton, it comes down to how you structure your contract. How much you have guaranteed in your contract. Do you have a no-trade clause? You have to front load these contracts. You know, I look at Jimmy Garoppolo's contract with the 49ers. You know, next season, Charlton, he'll get $48 million.
Yeah, he's a joke.
$48 million. You know, and you think about that. This is a guy who has started 7 NFL games.
Yeah.
And it's not to any fault of his. It's where the salary cap is taking these players to.
Yeah.
Even though when you look at it, first in line is going to be the white quarterback who is going to get paid.
Yeah.
He may not be the best player on the team, but he's going to get paid first.
Yeah.
They say you got to have a franchise quarterback. Now, you think about this contract he just signed, $137 million.
Yep.
That's more money than Joe Montana and Steve Young made with the 49ers.
Yeah.
His contract over 5 years is more than what the 49ers paid Joe Montana and Steve Young during their career.
And they're 5 Super Bowls.
They produced 5 Super Bowl trophies.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, it's when we look at the NBA and these players who put their careers on the line every night and they're always one, you know, meticulous injury away from something, you know, not being the same again.
Yeah.
You know, this comes down to them in negotiations, Charlton.
Yeah,
When you have the power to negotiate, just like Jimmy Garoppolo, you have to get optimum out of it.
Yeah.
And even in Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, Charlton, that's more money than Tom Brady got paid in his first 14 years in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
isn't that crazy?
You know, well, you know, it comes down to the time. Like I said, I'm still mad at my parents for having me 4 years too early. You know,
hey, Big C.
They're not getting a Christmas card next year.
Hey, Big C, you can always come back. You don't have to win to get paid in the NFL anymore. You can. It's almost like the woman of your dreams. You know, maybe you can't have her, so you pretend the woman you have is that woman, and that's what's made the what they call it when they go to these clubs. They make it rain. They throw money at strippers because the stripper, that's how she makes her living. And the guy got all the money in the world, so he thinks I'm going to throw some money at her, and she's going to appreciate me, and she's going to dance in front of me. Well, we're not that far off from athletes being treated the same by the ownership. They make it rain in front of these athletes, Big C, because they're too dumb to ask for ownership, just like the stripper in the nightclub. She's not asking for ownership. All she wants are her winnings and whatever she's going to strip for. And so these players strip for the owners. And I'm putting it graphically because it is graphic, because I've been reading about guys that own, that if you don't own anything, you tend to die with nothing. And just because you make money now, there's a plethora of athletes that had $100 million contract, and they have nothing right now, Big C, because it was all taken from them from taxes and other shady business deals and all that stuff. But I look at Steph Curry. If he can't negotiate it now, if LeBron James can't negotiate it now, I know Tim Duncan's already retired. He didn't own anything with San Antonio. Kareem's retired. He didn't own anything. Michael Jordan retired, but he owned something of the Charlotte Hornets, I believe. So there's some smart players, but you can count them on your hand, Big C. What will it take for Steph Curry to wake up and not think that he's any different than Griffin that just got traded to Detroit, than DeMarcus Cousins, and even Dwayne Wade, who's been a darling of the NBA? At some point in time, they gotta wake up before they're on the way out of the door, Big C. And we have all these bargaining contracts coming up, and the owners are making it rain on these dumb guys You're dumb if you don't have anything that you own, but you're the marquee guy of that league. Big C, to make any sense.
Well, Charlton, what I would like to see, and this is in all professional leagues, and this comes from the Players Association, is that the Players Association should set aside 10% of every player's contract into an annuity.
Yep.
And each year that they play, it's set out 10 years. That next salary is set out 10 years, 10% of it.
Yeah.
Because the players make enough to survive off of.
Yep.
And that's something that the Players Association should go into. When I look at coaches, Charlton,
Yeah.
and I know NFL coaches, one of the things that they look at is what they're going to get paid when they get cut,
Yeah.
when they get fired. And they automatically make $200,000 a year the rest of their life once they've been a head coach.
Yeah.
They get that from day one that they fired, so they're not out there struggling, worrying about if they're ever going to have anything again. And
Yeah.
the players don't do that.
No.
They don't set that up like these coaches do. So, I mean, when we look at the 6 head coaches in the NFL that got fired this last offseason, Charlton,
Yeah.
they automatically know without getting a job, they got $200,000 coming next year.
Yep. Yep.
And so
yeah.
that's a level of comfort. And that's why I've always been an advocate that the Players Association should be stern about this, is that you should force in all negotiations that 10% of every player's contract
Yeah.
is set aside into an annuity 10 years down the road. So if that player plays for 5 years, like Jimmy Garoppolo's contract,
Yeah.
$137 million,
Yeah.
that 10% of that is set aside. That's almost $14 million, Charlton,
Yeah.
that will be set aside 10 to 15 years down the road. It will cover that 5-year span.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if he gets injured or anything, Charlton, look at the nest egg that he has. He never has to worry about anything.
No.
And so when these players, and the players are just as much at fault as anybody.
Yep.
Because they fight for their money now.
Yeah.
Give me mine now. I want a huge signing bonus. I want that max contract.
Yep.
I don't care about an annuity.
Yeah.
Let's get the annuities in place, Charlton. These are the savvy businessmen
Yeah.
that set up down the road. That's that insurance policy that you never have to worry about. Regardless of making bad investments, you can't touch that money. And a perfect example of that is Allen Iverson, Charlton.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson has struggled for the past few years.
Yeah, I know.
Allen Iverson signed a shoe deal with I'm trying to remember the shoe company.
The major
that he
company.
signed with.
Yeah, major company.
And, you know, when he signed his shoe deal with them, they set aside an annuity for Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what they did. They set aside an annuity for him. And so Allen Iverson in the next couple of years will get this $44 million payout.
Yep.
He struggles, but he has this $44 million payout. He's filed bankruptcy. He's done all these things.
Yeah.
But this money was untouchable, Charlton. The shoe company looked out for Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't say, okay, we're going to give you this money and we know how you live and you're going to squander it. No,
Yeah.
we're not going to let you do that.
Yeah.
We're going to take care of you down the road. And because that's what most players needed is down the road, regardless of the sport.
Yeah.
Everyone's not a superstar.
Yeah.
But even some superstars, Charlton, need the help.
Big C, you brought up such a valid point. O.J. Simpson, one of the greatest running backs in the history of the NFL. No matter what's going on with him outside of the playing surface, that man was so smart with his advisors. He's going to get paid for the rest of his life. And he played back in the 70s. In the early 80s, I think he retired in the early 80s. But you think about that because the precedent is out there, and that's why. It's going to take black men to do it, to bring the attention, because we know it's just a fact. Whether you look at the Emancipation Proclamation, whether you look at civil rights movement, the civil rights, all those things, ending Jim Crow, it took black men marching, black men and women marching, and our white brethren joined this too, but they didn't start it. And for the guys that may say whatever they got to say about O.J. Simpson, he's better off than guys that made $1 million a year 20 years ago because he still has money, because he was set up properly. And I would hope that part of that financial education is given to the athletes that help make the industry $1 billion industry. And there's another point I want to bring up. Eddie DeBartolo, I can't remember the player's name, but he played for the 49ers, and he suffered an injury. I think he became paralyzed in one of his limbs. And Eddie DeBartolo, because he knew how to do it, he set up an annuity. That man will get money for the rest of his life. He's not running football touchdowns anymore. He's not blocking and tackling. But those are things that I hope that guys like Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Dwayne Wade or whoever else has that bargaining chip right now. I hope that they can get to the point where they at least understand that, Big C, because if not, they're going to be just another tragedy. I'm not saying the guy that made millions is a tragedy, but they could be so much better off where they could put money together and buy a team as opposed to outselling, selling, what do they call it, those cards, to sell a card, to a jersey card or a hat signing to make some extra money. I would hope that they could be treated a lot like the owners are treated themselves. Big C, that make any sense?
Well, Charlton, this becomes the education of players over time, and this is what we talk about all these early entries into the league.
Yeah.
Is that we have players now coming into all professional sports, Charlton, that are not socially functionable.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They don't have the social skills. They don't have the financial skills.
Yeah.
They all sign with an agent before they leave college. His agent comes up, gives them $100,000, and they go out. The first thing they do is go buy $100,000 worth of blades.
Yeah.
Because they know the money's coming back in that signing bonus, that agent does.
Yeah.
And if that player doesn't get drafted, that agent is, he's got to get his money back somehow. You got to go hawk that jewelry that you got.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of players that don't get drafted, especially when you look at the NBA, Charlton, that there's 2 rounds in the NBA.
Yeah.
60 players being drafted. 20 of those are going to come from Europe.
Yeah.
So you're lucky enough to have 40 players get drafted if you're out of an American university.
Yeah.
And then when you have 48 players who declare early, there's only 40 U.S. draft picks. We're not even talking about the seniors.
Yeah. That's a good point.
This is what I talk about players not being socially mature.
Yeah.
Is that they have this illusion of grandeur, which is nice.
Yep.
You want to make your money when you can, but when that money doesn't show up and you end up in the G League,
Yep.
and you're only making, $4,000 a month instead of $4,000 a minute.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
And a huge shock for these kids that thought all of a sudden I'm going to be rich beyond all means.
Yeah.
And no, you basically have a job is what you have.
Yeah, and I've seen so many players, Big C, that I've come across over the years. And I'm not saying that they're any better than the general population. We all need to understand annuities and financial planning. I just hate to see the exploitation that happens, especially at the highest level, when you have the ability to affect your life and your family
but
for years.
Exploitation comes from agents as much as it does from teams.
Yeah.
You got these agents, and I can go back to when I was leaving college, and I mean being courted by agents.
Yeah.
And they're walking around telling you where you're going to be drafted and all of that. It's almost like the broadcast shows now.
Yeah.
So if you guys have all the insight, why do the teams exist? That's what I can never understand.
Yeah.
And even back when I was young.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys know everything, so why don't you just sign me right now?
Yeah.
Give me the money.
Yep.
But, here it is, these agents, are sitting here and they're constantly in the guy's ear. You like the pretty girlfriend.
Yeah.
She's telling you everything that you want to hear.
Yeah.
So you're happy and you're giddy all day long. Then all of a sudden comes draft day.
Yep.
And round 1 goes, and you're still sitting there.
And she found somebody else, Big Z.
All the cold cuts really got cold on the table.
Yeah. Well.
So, this is what players are not prepared for, and this is what I talk about being socially aware.
Yeah.
You have to understand that bad things can happen.
Yeah.
And how will you react if that does occur, which it happens more often than not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's easy to put the onuses on the team that leave the players out there with anything.
Yeah.
The team is the one that gives them the ultimate opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, are they mature enough with what they get from the team or the people that they surround themselves with, Charlton, to optimize that.
Yeah.
So this is the key element. Where are you mentally and socially to take the money? If they give you a $10 million signing bonus, and 2 years later that money is gone, is that the team's fault?
No.
Or is that the people that you surrounded yourself with, Charlton, that you were not mentally cognizant enough to handle that? And we see that too often.
Yeah.
You spoke about O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson will make $250,000 a year the rest of his life.
Yeah.
That's more than he made a year as a player, okay? Think about that.
Yeah.
That's more money than he made a year as a player. So he's done better off after football than what he did in football.
Yeah.
But everybody was not cognizant enough and to be surrounded by the people that he was. The main cog that helped O.J. Simpson out was Rob Kardashian.
Yeah.
And everybody knows his family on television, but the late Rob Kardashian really helped O.J. out far as setting up for his future. Rob Kardashian produced R&R, which is Radio and Records, but the way that you track radio spins on the radio station.
Oh, really?
So the Kardashian family makes money regardless of having this show. They were wealthy prior to the show. Every time a record gets spinned and tracked on radio, Charlton, they get paid from that. So they always will make money, and OJ was a part of that, as well as other things that he had OJ in.
Yeah.
And so OJ was invested well because he was surrounded by the right people. He wasn't surrounded by people who said, "Man, can you help me with my car payment?
Yeah.
You know, let's go on vacation."
Yep.
He was around people that said, "Let me show you how to invest for the future."
Or let me buy this $50,000 gold chain to put on my neck so somebody can rip it off. Big C, he did have all those, and I mean everybody can do it. But whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna do it. But the league makes sure that even if a coach is dumb and runs up on some hard luck, they still got it so they get paid for the rest of their lives, Big C. They don't have to make smart choices. The league's done it for them. And because they protect that image, most of them are white men that they're going to give jobs to. They're going to have that money forever. And that's a fact, too. And so that's why I would love to see more of the young black athlete get what OJ got. He got the chance to have the opportunity with, you mentioned the Kardashian gentleman, to help his family. And all we want to do is bring some financial literacy to men who think that they have so much money that they'll never need any more money.
The biggest problem, Charlton, now with the young athlete is that I got mine, you got yours.
Yeah.
And no one wants to share what they have knowledge-wise.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to keep it all a secret. And that's what hurts so many athletes now, Charlton. You can find out, you and I could call the league office and find out who the highest paid players are.
Yeah.
But athletes think they got a secret. All it takes is calling into the league office is public knowledge.
Yeah.
How much somebody makes. They can find out anybody's contract. You can find out the top 10 paid players in any position.
Yeah.
But, athletes think that it's such a secret that if you have a successful investment, I don't want to let nobody know because they're going to make what I make. And that's what's wrong. And that's why I said the Players Association is as much in fault as the players are in every league, Charlton. Yeah. Because they should set this up more than a rookie symposium that they have every year. Yeah. They think once you have this rookie symposium that everything stops. Yeah. No, it doesn't. That's just the beginning. Yeah. And you need to do this every day. Yeah. Every week, every month. Yeah. You need to teach not just the rookies, but the veteran players how to structure their lives. I mean, as much money that's moved about in the professional leagues, there should be mentorship and tutorship on a daily basis. When you're not in practice or whatever, you're not at home with there should be an hour set aside a day. Yeah. After practice and all that done, that you have a financial planner, advisor comes in and assists every team. Yeah. That should be there to show players that this is the options that we have right now with our money. If you take $100,000 of your money and put it here, this is what that $100,000 can look like in 10 years. Yeah. And $100,000 to a professional athlete on anybody's roster is not a lot of money, Charlton. It's not. Yeah. He can take that money and not miss it. That's just one less car he's buying.
And we know cars can take a lot of money. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, even your mom and pop soccer leagues, when you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you at 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. Something that brought to my attention, and I look at Markel's folks, and came out of Washington, drafted by Philadelphia. I guess he has an issue with his arm, a lot like Andrew Luck. I'm starting to think these guys are a lot smarter than we are, Big C, because they get paid for not playing. I know the man wants to play, but he has an injury. Now, if he never comes back from the injury, he doesn't have a no-trade clause either. And so a lot of people, when they come into instant wealth, number one, you got to pay Uncle Sam his money. We know Donald Trump is going to save you $1,000 a year on your tax break, so a lot of people appreciate that $1,000. It was like almost $90 a month. But you got to pay Uncle Sam, and then you buy a mansion, you buy a couple of cars, and you meet a lot of people that want to have you invest their money into this great idea to have money that they don't even have. And next thing you know, you're like Allen Iverson and a lot of other athletes. I just hope that we can bring some financial literacy to that and make sure that even ourselves can understand more by talking to people who know how to put people in a better situation, Big C. So I just thought that was great knowledge that you brought up with. I want to get one more thought on you, okay? We talked earlier about Isaiah Thomas, and we know he had a tragic year with his sister and being, traded from actually helping Boston get back on the map, having the best record in the Eastern Conference last year, and then the thing that went down with Irving, he goes to Cleveland. And now he's shipped out of Cleveland to LA. He hasn't even shown up, and he's already saying, I'm not coming to sit the bench. He doesn't want to be there. It doesn't make any sense. If he's going to be there, there's no way LeBron's going to be. So your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this was a move for salary cap space.
Yeah.
That's all that was. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year,
yeah.
So wherever he ends up is where he's going to end up. He's going to become a journeyman, realistically. I mean, he was a sixth man one time, and that's basically what he's become with the Lakers.
Yeah.
But when you think about what he could help the Lakers with, this is a team that really has no leadership. I know the ball kid has played well at times this year, but he's injured also.
Yeah.
And to have veteran stability into the lineup for the Lakers, I mean, it's not a bad thing.
Right.
But, as everyone is going to speculate, where's LeBron going to be? If you look at the Cleveland team right now, Charlton,
yeah,
with the infusion of young players, 4 younger players coming into the lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, George Hill has some, playoff experience with San Antonio.
Yeah.
And so, but how are the Cleveland Cavaliers right now different than the Los Angeles Lakers? They have a young base.
Yeah.
With some veteran leadership.
Yeah.
So what would make LA more attractive than Cleveland right now?
LA?
You can't straighten them off.
85 degrees, the beach that's not frozen, Big C, that might be one attraction.
but think about this. If he goes to LA, what are his chances of making it to the final? I mean, you got Houston.
Yeah.
You got OKC.
Yeah.
You got Golden State. You got San Antonio. You got 4 teams that you have to go through
just to get there
to make it to the final.
Yeah.
I mean, in the East right now, you got 2. You got Boston and you got Toronto.
Yeah.
So your odds of staying in the East, making it to the NBA Finals, are much greater. Matter of fact, they just became the odds-on favorite to make it to the finals because now you got some young legs that are enthusiastic about being in the playoffs, Charlton.
Yeah.
Those 4 players that they brought in had no shot at making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they're rejuvenated. You think about that. They're going to bring a lot of energy to that Cleveland lineup because, wow, we're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We have a chance to win an NBA championship because we're with LeBron, who's been there 8 consecutive years.
Yeah.
So I got to give all I can to help LeBron get back to his 9th.
Yeah.
That's what just happened in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Versus those other teams that they made trades with. Those other teams didn't get better. Miami didn't get better.
No.
The Lakers didn't get better. Utah didn't get better. Sacramento didn't get better. So when you look at the overall dynamics of it, Charlton, you have to show me the attraction that would take LeBron to Los Angeles when he's sitting there and talking about, I got 4 teams I have to fight through versus just 2.
Well, it might be the weather. It might be the houses that he owns. It might be becoming a movie star. There's just a lot of attraction that I think LA offers a lot more than just show up and play the game. And we know there's always a life after the sport, and that just might be an attraction. But you're right. It's going to be a tougher climb to get through there. But also keep this in mind. The Golden State Warriors, they have their new Chase Center is going to be completed for the start of the 2019 NBA basketball season. So one more season at the Oracle Arena over in Oakland, and this new Chase Center is halfway complete. Okay, it's going to host a lot of events, and it's right there on the water. It's going to be a jewel of a basketball place. You can see the skyline of San Francisco is about 4 blocks south of where AT&T Park is for the San Francisco Giants. And the only organization that got it wrong, the 49ers could have built right across McCovey Cove from AT&T Park, right there by the high-rise buildings in the Bay Bridge. So that's going to be more real estate that's going to go up in value. They're going to have more money. It's hard to even get a house anywhere in San Francisco now. So they have so much going on, and players are going to want to come. There's going to be a lot of shifting and moving. So San Francisco is going to be more attractive for anybody because they're going to have a lot more money for a various amount of reasons than being in the heart of Silicon Valley. But I love your thought on where you're going to go when your days are over. O.J. Simpson did something right because he got some legal advice and some financial savviness, and that's going to help that man for the rest of his life. So Isaiah Thomas, no matter what's going on with him, Big C, I just want to ask your thoughts. He's no different than anybody else. He's not a 6'5" guy, okay? He's about 5'8", 5'9", but he has a lot of passion. But why does it turn from love to hate with this guy in the matter of about 1 year. Big C, your thoughts?
Less than a year, realistically, Charlton. I mean, he's been in the league for a long time. Like I said, this is his 15 over the last 5 years that he's been with.
Yeah.
So he knows the journeyman route.
Yeah.
He's been given up on many times, Charlton, but every time he's risen from the ashes. He's like the phoenix.
Yeah.
He rises from the ashes and he makes himself a stalwart again.
Yeah.
And so, does this motivate him even more, Charlton, to come back and get back to the stature where he was last season? That's the thing you want to look at.
Yeah.
This is a guy who is not giving up on himself. He knows that he can play. The NBA knows that he can play. But when you're hurt, and I don't care what professional league it is, Charlton, you're not yourself.
Yeah.
And so he was hurt, trying to recover from a hit.
Yep.
And especially being an athlete, that is the balance of your body right there. Everything comes from your hip.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when that hip is not right, and you don't recover from hip surgery in 5 months.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Yeah.
That's a year recovery time.
Yeah.
And so he didn't never have a chance to get healthy. He didn't have a chance to play himself into the lineup, and that's going to a new lineup where you're trying to figure out which player scheme is going to work.
Yeah.
And so there was never any cohesiveness in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas can become the player that he was.
Yeah.
Put in the right circumstances, Charlton. You have to look around the NBA. There's not a lot of great players. Not a lot of superstars. There's a lot of great players.
Right.
But there's not a lot of superstars. Last year, he was a superstar.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, he was a superstar.
Yeah.
It's hard to fall off the cliff that much, Charles.
Well, you look
like I said, given time, he'll be back.
Yeah, and I hope he does, because he's been through a lot, and I'm pulling for the underdog guy. I look at the Central Division of the Eastern Conference, Big C. Cleveland at 31-22. Milwaukee just a game back at 30-23. I know they got rid of Kidd at the coach there. Indiana 30-25. Detroit, which has a brand new arena that nobody knows about because usually it's still half empty. Even though now that they gotten Blake Griffin to come, they're starting to get more fans to come there. So hopefully they can start supporting that downtown Detroit. But you look at Chicago, a once proud organization. Who would have ever thought that the mighty Chicago Bulls would be 18-35 and all the history they've had with winning championships and being the name of the Central Division, but they're 18-35. So Cleveland right there, just a game ahead of Milwaukee. So they're still going to push each other for that Central Division. In the Southeast Division, Washington 31-23. Miami, they have a little bit more life coming back, I think, with Dwayne Wade. He's not going to give them, 40-minute nights, but maybe he can give them 25 minutes of action, Big C, and some leadership. They're 29-26. Charlotte's 23-30. Orlando 17-36, and Atlanta is 17-37. I think Atlanta's getting a new arena also in downtown Atlanta, a lot like the Braves got a new baseball stadium. We know the Atlanta Falcons have probably the best stadium, the most beautiful stadium in the universe, in the football universe, in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. In now Atlanta, I think the Hawks are moving into a new arena in the next year or two, so maybe they'll get some more jazz around that. Do you think the arena alone, with Atlanta and Golden State getting two new arenas, Big C, in the next year and a half or so, but one team's on top, one team's on bottom, can they do anything to turn things around in Atlanta, Big C, with that franchise? Your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if Dominique Wilkins is coming back anytime soon, Justin.
He might play football, Big C. He might play football when he see the contract that Garoppolo signed for not winning, Big C.
This is a franchise that, has been topsy-turvy. You got to realize just 2 short seasons ago, they won the East.
Yeah.
They had a 60-win season, Charlton.
Yeah.
But they exited in the first round of the playoffs, and then they dismantled that team.
Yeah.
They weren't patient enough to say, okay, can this team make a run? They just dismantled the team.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the Cavaliers, they're playing the Hawks tonight in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And so this is a chance for the Cavaliers to get unwind with partially this new lineup.
Yeah.
But the Hawks, I think they're well beyond just having a new arena. They need to put together a stable franchise.
Yeah. Obviously, that has to come in the Eastern Conference and Atlantic Division. Boston 39-16, Toronto 37-16, and those two teams are going to push each other. Toronto just a game back. Philadelphia has all the young talent. Joel Embiid. They got folks that can't get off the bench. And they have this youth, Simmons, but it doesn't mean anything. There's no veteran leadership there to help them get over the hump. And we know that city's crazy about the Eagles, and we'll touch on that parade what they had yesterday in just a little bit. But Philadelphia, they're not going to make a move this year. They've been a lot of hype and a lot of hope and potential. But you look at the teams that are winning, they have veteran players. The New York Knicks, 23-32. We know Porzingis is out. Brooklyn, 19-37. Just one more thought about the Eastern Conference shift. Is there any thought at all whatsoever? LeBron has maybe another 3 or 4 years at the top of his game. Maybe longer, but 3 or 4 years is realistic. Any thought that he would go to New York? What he would bring to New York with that great franchise? I know Patrick Ewing's been the last really great player that was a household name, even though they had several other, Stephon Marbury, they had, Starks, and they had a lot of other good players. But there's no Willis Reed coming back. But is there any chance at all, or is that just a foregone conclusion that LeBron's not going any further east than where he already is? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, everybody has a landing spot for LeBron except for LeBron. LeBron knows what he's going to do.
Yeah.
All the speculation on LeBron reminds me of that Joe Namath, I guarantee you a win.
Yeah.
Let me be the first to say that.
Yeah.
So if everybody can sit there and name LeBron's next landing spot and what's going to occur, then they're a genius if LeBron goes there.
Yeah.
But no one is constantly hammering in and LeBron staying in Cleveland.
I don't think it's going to stay.
And I look at this, Charlton. In this one-time media and fast-paced transportation world we have, what's the necessity to live in a certain city?
Yeah.
When you can be anywhere in the United States in 4 hours.
Beam me up, Scotty, yeah.
You can be there, and on a private jet. It's not like he's sitting up in the airport in the lounge waiting to see if the flight's delayed.
Yeah.
He's not doing that. When LeBron needs to be somewhere, LeBron gets on a plane and go, and most likely owns his own.
Yeah.
So LeBron can be, you had a governor out there in California, Schwarzenegger, who flew home every night from Sacramento to Burbank.
Allegedly.
So
he made some stops in Bakersfield too on the way, Big C.
He left Sacramento every night.
Yeah.
But, for an athlete to be where he wants to be, where he has that comfort zone. Everyone says, well, LeBron has bought real estate in Los Angeles, so he
Who
can
hasn't?
invest.
Who hasn't?
For him to make that investment, that means how savvy he is.
Yeah.
He understands the value of property in California, Charlton.
Yeah.
So, and he has multiple properties, not just one. He has multiple properties.
Yeah.
So he can be wherever he wants to be. He doesn't have to go to Los Angeles and stay in a hotel.
No.
He can stay in his house.
So,
that's not uncommon with athletes and actors and entertainers also, Charlton.
Yeah.
To have multiple residents, to be comfortable in your own environment because you set it up.
Yep.
LeBron will play where LeBron wants to play.
It's
not up to the media to make that decision.
It's amazing you brought that point up, that people with money have multiple houses, oftentimes multiple cars, multiple relationships, multiple everything, Big C, if you leave it up to the good old boys. Donald Trump owns property in Russia. Does anyone say he's moving to Russia, Big C? Even though he denies he tried to get Trump Tower built over there, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he has property everywhere, but no one is saying anything about that. No one's beating him up on that, spending more time on his golf course than what he does at the White House down in Florida. So, that's okay.
Yeah.
But, put the emphasis on LeBron's intelligence, not where he's going to be playing. Put the emphasis on his intelligence because we look at athletes as athletes too often.
Yeah.
Not as savvy businessmen, and that's what LeBron is.
Yeah.
LeBron is an entrepreneur. Athletics is what he does for a living, but he's an entrepreneur.
Very much so, Big C. In the Western Conference, Southwest Division, Houston at 40-13. Man, they are rolling right now. San Antonio 35-21. New Orleans 28-25 with Cousins gone. There's no talk of him going to L.A., and Davis can't do it on his own down there. Memphis 18-36. Dallas at 17-37. They played Golden State pretty close last night. I think it was tied at 60 at halftime, and then the Warriors turned it on. Now, I want to get your thought because there's a lot of talk in the Bay Area, and people keep defending Coach Kerr. They keep saying how guru he is. And, of course, when you have the best players in the world, I could be the best team in the NBA if I had Curry and Durant and Thompson and Green and all them good old boys, Big C. So sometimes you're blessed to be in the right place. It's called timing. And if the timing's right, that's great. But I've got to get your thoughts on something. If players don't respect you, pretty soon your ways grow old. We saw that with Jason Kidd being kicked out of Milwaukee. We've seen that with coaches being kicked out of several places over the years in different organizations. If the Golden State Warriors somehow don't win another championship this year, and they should, will he come under pressure, being given the gold mine, and he can't find the goal? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think the biggest problem with Golden State right now, Charlton, is the players feeling a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
When you look at the amount of mounting technical fouls that this team has, Charlton, the spats that they're going on the floor with, that's something that a coach can't control. I mean, because these are grown men making more money than the coach.
You can sit them down, Big C. You can sit them down.
Well, you think that's easy? It's not, Charlton. It's not as easy as you think sitting down somebody who makes 5 times as much money as you do a year.
Okay, I forgot
you got to look at that.
Yeah, you're saying it's all about the money.
The power of the players in the NBA.
Yeah.
But the sense of entitlement that Golden State feel because they're the best organization in the game and best talent combination in the game, Charlton, is that they lose sight of where they were. They don't have that humbleness about them.
Yeah.
To just go out and play the game.
Yeah.
They got to get into spats with each other. They got to get into spats with referees, Charlton.
Yeah.
This is something you didn't see with this team 3 years ago.
No, they were humble.
This was a team that was very harmonious.
Yeah.
But that harmony has left this organization, Charlton, and this is running amok now in professional sports.
Yeah.
Is that, yes, we all look at coaches because you get rid of the one guy and you figure that you got a quick fix. They talked about that in Milwaukee when Kidd was fired. But they didn't talk about they got another player back that was integral in that lineup that has helped them win 7 of the 8 games since Kidd has been gone.
Yeah.
You have to look at these things, Charlton. It's not always an assistant coach that gets the fix, even though we've seen that in Golden State.
Yeah.
But it's the harmony that is kind of left. You sit there and you win 2 championships in 3 years. And, as they say, that stuff don't stink anymore. and so that's their mindset.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. Sometimes complacency, teams can fall from within. In the Northwest Division, you have Minnesota at 34-23, Oklahoma City got blown out by the Lakers again after giving the beat down to the Warriors. That doesn't make any sense. And they're 31-24. Denver is 29-25. Portland 29-25. And Utah is the only team in the Northwest Division that's under 500 at 26-28. Minnesota's young. They're strong. They have all the potential, a lot like Philadelphia, but they're still about a year away. But when you think about, we talk about the all-star players and the veteran players, OKC with Anthony, George, and Westbrook, they're behind 2 games behind Minnesota, which has all these young, nouveau riche players, Big C. So much for having veterans, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, veterans are fine to have. But, it's what we talked about with Golden State a few years ago. They were humble. They worked in harmony.
Yeah.
And you can have a young team that does that.
Yeah.
And so when you have that commonality, you got players who like each other.
Yeah.
And know that they have a purpose, that they can get somewhere and be a dominant team for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
That's when you set those egos aside. Golden State had that, and that's what you're looking at here.
Yeah.
Is that if you keep growing expeditiously like they are, they have a chance to be something special.
Yeah, and I think they do have that opportunity, Big C. In the Pacific Division, Golden State 41-13, but they're hanging on by a thread to the dominance in the Western Conference. You have the Clippers. They're playing in Detroit tonight, 27-25. The Lakers at 22-31 are really starting to get some chemistry down there, and we're going to see what happens with the trade and how that works out. The Sacramento Kings 17-36. And the Phoenix Suns are 18-38, a long way away from when they had Charles Barkley playing down there in the desert. So we know basketball is all about positioning. It's all about having the right players in the right place at the right time. Big C, as we get ready to close out, I just want to acknowledge the Philadelphia Eagles in their celebration. I know that the planners they projected about 3 to 4 million people would turn out in a 5-mile parade. It was such a great event. It showed the contrast between Philadelphia with their 1 championship, Big Street, 1 in their football universe, and the Oakland Raiders have 3 world championships, and the Raiders are leaving to go to Las Vegas for more money. Could you imagine the Philadelphia Eagles? Not only do they follow Big C Sports, they were on the big bus, Big C. Their bus was called Big Bus. I thought I was going to say Big C. I said, Big C got buses too? Who's that good boy down south? Herschel Walker with the bus fleets down? So they on the Big C bus in Philadelphia, but just contrast what it did to that city, that they're not talking about going to Las Vegas. like the good old boys in Oakland. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you think about Philadelphia and all their sports combined, whether it's the Flyers or the Phillies, you know, the Sixers and even the Eagles, Charlton.
Yeah.
They're part of the fabric of those communities, Charlton. They've been around for a long time. They haven't come in and left. The Raiders, when you think about all of those teams in Oakland, Charlton, all of those teams have come and gone at some point.
Yeah.
The Oakland A's, they're not originally from Oakland. They've been in Philadelphia and Kansas City.
Yeah.
The A's, the Raiders have gone to Los Angeles and come back and leaving again.
Yeah.
The Warriors, you know, they've been around.
Yeah.
And they started in San Francisco. So, but when you look at Philadelphia, and these are heritage franchises, Charlton. The Eagles have been around since the early days of the NFL. Matter of fact, they won 3 NFL titles.
Yeah.
You know, prior to the leagues, you know, getting together and becoming one league. You know, the Sixers have been there. The Phillies have won multiple championships. The Flyers were the bad boys of the 80s.
Yep.
But you know, this championship, Charlton, for a city that was starving.
Yeah.
They've been there twice before in the Super Bowl and came up without a victory, came up a little short, Charlton. But to have this opportunity and to lead from start to finish, that's rarefied air in the NFL. And you think about both teams that were in the Super Bowl, Charlton.
Yeah.
They almost led from start to finish. I mean, the Patriots got off to a rocky start.
Yeah.
But the Eagles got off to a whirlwind start.
Yeah.
And they were odds-on favorites halfway through the season to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they went on and did that, Charlton.
Yep.
So the fans were sitting there in anticipation for a long time. They didn't sit on their hands, Charlton.
Yeah.
They opened up their lungs for months.
Yeah.
And they were rewarded with this victory, Charlton. And you could see the jubilation in the city. It was like the Cubs a couple seasons ago when they won the Big C World Series.
Yep.
These were generations of people, Charlton, that were hungry and starving.
Yeah.
For a championship. If you think about it, 1960 was the last time that they won an NFL championship.
Yeah.
So you think about how many people have come and gone through that stadium, Charlton. They had Veterans Stadium. They had Municipal Stadium prior to that.
Yeah.
And, you know, now that at the Lincoln, it's been around for over a decade.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem that long, but it has.
Yeah. It's a gorgeous
those
place.
Fans have always been there.
Yeah.
Through good and bad times. When Dick Vermeil was the coach, when Herm Edwards was there, you know, they stayed the path.
Harold Carmichael, Randall Cunningham, Reggie White,
Robert Montgomery.
Yeah.
You know, Ron Jaworski.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about some of the players that have been there over time, Bill Berge at linebacker, Norm Snead at quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, Claude Humphrey. There's been some great players.
Big C, hold on. How does your Google work that fast? You spit out names like rappers, Big C. How does your Google work that fast, Big C?
But you know, when you think about what this organization has done, Charlton, and the fans have been there.
Yeah.
And there's a song out now called Loyalty, Loyalty, Loyalty.
Yeah.
Those are the Philadelphia Eagles fans.
Yeah, they're amazing, Big C. One of my favorite players now, not only as a socially conscious Caucasian, because a lot of white guys don't say much because they got it pretty good. So if they need social change, they say it's not bothering me. But a lot of black athletes have been the vanguards of that. I want to just congratulate Chris Long. Not only has he shown a consciousness as a white male that didn't have to, because a lot of guys don't, but I also want to thank him for saying that Philadelphia is now the center of the football universe. And I think he followed that from Big C Sports, Big C. Just one of the things that make it go home, according to the great Arsenio Hall. But so much seeing the Eagles and that crowd. I mean, that crowd was there. And black, white, young, old, different neighborhoods, different religions. People coming together because of what? Because of sports, Big C. And that's why sports, and we have the Olympics going on, it galvanizes everything. And that's what I love about the world of sports. So congratulations again to the world champions, Philadelphia Eagles, the best football team in the universe. Last thing we'll close out. Beautiful Pebble Beach, Big C. And there's so much to love about California, especially when you live in that region of the country. Now, they have the great Wayne Gretzky, and he was placed right there with Johnson, the #1 golfer in the world at this time. But I want to just compliment Johnson. He gave some praise to Gretzky. I think he's dating his daughter. But Johnson credited Gretzky for his guidance and helped him focus on getting him more into the weight room and building his confidence in handling like a pro as opposed to just being a guy that got lucky. But the thing that really impressed me, Big C, he said Gretzky taught him how to deal with the pressures and expectation of being a public figure. Big C, talk about how valuable it is to have a young man recognize that while he's still on the ascension and the climb in his career. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's where we talk about being socially aware of where you are, Charlton, being socially mature.
Yeah.
As we see, so many athletes don't have that. To have the mentorship of a great Wayne Gretzky,
Yeah.
you know, that's hard to beat anywhere, Charlton, in the world of sports, because this is a young man who was labeled the great one and lived up to all those expectations, winning
Yeah.
5 Stanley Cups,
Yep.
when he was with the Edmonton Oilers, Charlton, and having a great run up there prior to going to the Los Angeles Kings.
Yeah.
But you know, he is, you know, dating his daughter. They have a child together. But to have someone like that who is prescient of what is the expectations of a top caliber athlete are, and how to handle it socially,
Yeah.
how to handle it professionally,
Yep.
how to handle it in the playing field, Charlton.
Yeah.
I mean, to have that type of mentorship, as we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
athletes don't want to share because they say, I have mine, and I don't want somebody stealing my secret.
Yeah.
And that's why so many athletes are running disarray now.
Yep.
But
Yep.
Dustin Johnson is staying on top of the game, and with the assistance of Wayne Gretzky,
Yeah.
who knows where he may stay over the next several years.
And I think that's always important, Big C. You always talk about mentorship, and I appreciate the mentorship I get from you. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, I know you're going to be sitting around the tube, Charlton, watching all that ice skating going on at the Olympics, you know, this weekend and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward, and I hope they dedicate some hours to what I call ice bowling and stuff. And for you layman people, you call that curling. To me, that is one of the most strategic sports in the Olympics, as far as the tactical angles that you have to take, and to be able to push that stone down the ice, Charlton, and get it to move. I love curling.
Yeah, and I tell you, Big C, I love it too. And I love the fact that the whole sports universe is galvanized around the Olympics. Young and old, black and white, different cultures, religions. Sports is such a beautiful thing, and that's why we want to bring it to you every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. And as we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no woman should ever have to deal with that garbage all on her own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.